I bet you didn't know just how close the world came to the edge, so make sure to subscribe for more timely global updates as we break down the events shaping our future. On June 13, 2025, the world awoke to a nightmare realized. Israel has launched a direct strike on Iran's nuclear facilities. The shadow war in the Middle East has erupted into open conflict, shattering years of uneasy warnings and diplomatic efforts. Israeli warplanes targeted Iran's nuclear program, a move born from the belief that a nuclear-armed Iran is an existential threat. Sirens blare across Israeli cities, signaling that retaliation is imminent and the region stands on the brink of a wider war. The stakes are global, markets tremble, alliances are tested, and the specter of humanitarian crisis looms. This isn't just about bombs and military targets, it's about survival, fear, and the desperate choices of leaders. For Iran, the strike is a violation demanding a response. For Israel, it's a last resort. As the world holds its breath, the question is no longer if, but what comes next. Let's unravel how we reach this moment and what the future might hold. Israel has launched a major military operation striking Iran's key nuclear sites, including Natanz, aiming to cripple its nuclear ambitions. The operation targeted not just facilities but also scientists and missile command centers, signaling Israel's determination to neutralize the threat. Prime Minister Netanyahu claims urgent intelligence forced his hand, believing diplomacy had failed and time had run out. In Israel, citizens brace for retaliation, missiles, drones, and the real possibility of war on their doorstep. The US had tried to revive a nuclear deal but talks stalled, and Israel saw Iran accelerating its weapons program under the cover of negotiations. This strike is the culmination of years of shadow conflict, cyber attacks, assassinations, and proxy wars now exploding into daylight. The red line has been crossed. The world must now confront a crisis that could redraw the map of the Middle East. The conflict is no longer covert. It's a direct confrontation with global consequences. The next moves will define the region for years to come. Picture two neighbors locked in a decades-long feud. One now convinced the other is building a weapon that could destroy the entire bloc. Israel sees Iran's nuclear program as an existential threat, a red line that cannot be crossed. Years of warnings and diplomacy failed, so Israel smashed the workshop before the project could be finished. This strike is not just about military targets, it's a desperate act of self-preservation, rooted in deep historical trauma and fear. The neighborhood, meaning the world, now waits for Iran's response, knowing escalation could ignite the whole region. The analogy reveals the emotional logic. For Israel, this is survival, not aggression. For Iran, it's a violation demanding a counterpunch. The risk is that the fight spills out, drawing in other neighbors and setting the entire bloc ablaze. The world is holding its breath, aware that the next move could change everything. This is the perilous logic driving both sides to the brink. Former President Donald Trump's voice echoes loudly in this crisis, his past decisions shaping today's reality. Trump withdrew the US from the Iran nuclear deal, betting on maximum pressure instead of compromise. His hardline stance pushed Iran to accelerate its nuclear program, setting the stage for today's confrontation. Now, Trump calls the Israeli strike justified, claiming it proves his approach was right all along. His supporters see him as a leader unafraid to confront Iran, while critics blame his policies for escalating the crisis. Trump's warnings to Iran and his influence over US politics make him a central figure, not just a commentator. His legacy and rhetoric are shaping the debate in Washington and beyond. As the world seeks a way forward, Trump's shadow looms over every decision. Think of Trump as the star quarterback benched but still calling plays from the sidelines. He tore up the old playbook, the Iran nuclear deal, believing only a tougher approach would work. Now, with a new administration on the field, Trump's voice still commands half the crowd, urging a more aggressive stance. His influence divides allies and complicates efforts to de-escalate, as some listen more to him than to current leaders. Israel, familiar with Trump's style, may feel emboldened by his support. Every statement he makes is both a critique of the present and a campaign for the future. The world knows he could return to power, making his words more than just commentary. Trump's presence shapes the choices of leaders in Washington, Jerusalem, and Tehran. The sidelines have never been so close to the field. This conflict isn't just a distant headline, it's about to hit your wallet. The Middle East is the world's energy heart, and the Strait of Hormuz is its most vital artery. War here threatens a fifth of global oil supply, sending prices soaring and making everything from gas to groceries more expensive. Rising energy costs fuel inflation, slow economies, and threaten jobs worldwide. Businesses face uncertainty, and families feel the squeeze at the pump and the checkout. A wider war could trigger refugee crises, destabilize entire regions, and draw in global powers. Terrorist groups may exploit the chaos, compounding the danger. The Israeli strike is a global event with consequences for security, prosperity, and daily life everywhere. In our interconnected world, no crisis stays far away for long. The ripples from this conflict will reach every shore. Israel and Iran weren't always enemies. Before 1979, they were strategic partners. The Iranian Revolution changed everything, replacing the Shah with a regime built on anti-Israeli ideology. Iran began funding militant groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, waging a shadow war against Israel. Israel responded with covert operations, cyber attacks, assassinations, and relentless intelligence work. The 2015 nuclear deal aimed to break this cycle, but Trump's withdrawal in 2018 reignited tensions. Freed from constraints, Iran accelerated its nuclear program, intensifying Israeli fears. Decades of mistrust and proxy conflict have now exploded into open confrontation. Today's crisis is the result of a long, winding road from partnership to the edge of war. Understanding this history is key to grasping what's at stake now. The world faces three paths: escalation, diplomacy, or a tense stalemate. Escalation means all-out war, missiles, destruction, and a regional inferno drawing in global powers. Diplomacy, though difficult, could pull both sides back, revive talks, and seek a new nuclear deal. The most likely short-term outcome? A tense standoff. Limited retaliation, no resolution, and simmering danger. Each path carries huge risks. War brings chaos, diplomacy demands compromise, and stalemate means future crises. The choices made in the next days, in Tehran, Jerusalem, and Washington, will shape the region's fate. The world watches, hoping for restraint but bracing for disaster. The stakes are nothing less than the future of the Middle East and global stability. Every decision now matters more than ever. The crossroads is here, the direction is uncertain. We've reached a turning point. What happens next is unwritten. The world must act to prevent a chain reaction of violence and find a path back to stability. This crisis is a stark reminder of how fragile peace can be, and how quickly it can unravel. Leaders must choose wisdom over revenge, and diplomacy over destruction. We must learn from past failures and address the real fears on both sides. The future depends on restraint, courage, and the willingness to seek compromise. This is a shared responsibility. Our security, prosperity, and future are all on the line. The next chapter is ours to write. Let's demand leadership that chooses peace.